Hello Wolfpack. Quick update on Digibyte. It's been a while, it's been about a month and a half since I did my Digibyte analysis, and I want to just re-emphasize some of the points I made in that video, bring in some new information as well. Ultimately, my price prediction hasn't changed too much, but I can add some dynamic to that price prediction, and just update you on the market movements that are going on currently on Digibyte, because like the rest of the market, Digibyte is forming a nice cup and handle formation, which I didn't talk about in the last video because it wasn't forming at that point. We're seeing price action very similar to what we've seen before. We have a fractal to go over. We have some fundamentals to go over as well in the Bitcoin pair. So let's get straight into it, I guess. What we can see on Digibyte, we'll leave it on log because it gives us a bit of a better view here. What we can see on Digibyte over the long course of history here, we see Digibyte released into the market 2014. We've been over this before, but we'll say it again. Digibyte is an alternative to Bitcoin. It's directly rivaling Bitcoin. It was made to be like Bitcoin, right? When this coin was invented, when it was minted for the first time, they made it, in terms of tokenomics, very similar to Bitcoin, because the whole purpose of Digibyte is to take Bitcoin's throne. It is not to be underneath Bitcoin. The whole purpose, just like Nano as well. Nano is another coin that rivals Bitcoin directly. It wants to beat Bitcoin, and it does this by, claiming to be more environmentally friendly, claiming to be faster, cheaper, etc. All the ways you can think of, and whether that will happen or not, that's a question for another video, right? I don't think that's the case. I don't think Bitcoin's ever going to be beaten. It's just like, for example, Tesla in the electric car industry. Even if other electric cars get better than Tesla, Tesla will always be the first one to really make a name for itself in the industry, and hence Tesla will always have, probably more popularity, right? But the point is, Digibyte is definitely a worthy competitor, and that's not what this video is about, right? This video is about the TA, about the potential gains of Digibyte, because I know that even though, it's very unlikely that Digibyte will actually, beat Bitcoin in the long run, what is likely is the fact that it's going to give us some excellent gains in a bull market, because when people rush into the market who are uneducated on the market, right? When, hundreds of thousands, millions, tens of millions of people rush into the market in the coming months in Q4, which is typically bullish for cryptocurrency, they're going to be looking for coins like Bitcoin, but also there are going to be people here learning about rivals to Bitcoin for the first time, and this is where Digibyte's going to take, the attention in the market, and that's going to happen, late December, early January, if we take history by any basis. We can see, on the daily chart here, that's Bitcoin. We can see on the daily chart here for Digibyte, we've formed a very strong support zone at around 0.3, so 3 cents to around 4 cents here on Digibyte. We don't want to be dropping below that support zone at any point in time. What we have actually seen on Digibyte is in that May capitulation, going right down to this resistance support box, double bottoming. We came back up here in August and September, rejected off of our critical resistance zone, which is between around 7.5 and 9.5 cents, and we came back down and actually retested this support box, flipped it for support once again, held it for support, I should say, and now we're bouncing upwards. Incredibly bullish price action, right? The fact that we keep bouncing, this is 3 consecutive times, actually 4 if you want to label this one, off of this major resistance support box between around 3 and 4 cents, means that Digibyte has very, very, very strong, buying interest in that region, and sellers aren't very interested in selling in that region, which means that, it's very unlikely that Digibyte is actually going to drop below that point, especially with the bullish continuations we're seeing on Bitcoin in the current market. So what we have right now, what we're seeing on Digibyte right now, is playing around with this mid-resistance point that we have here around 5.2 cents. Breaking that zone will be critical, and I'll tell you why. Right now, we're seeing a pretty 101 standard cup and handle formation on Digibyte. We'll draw that out perfectly right now, and what we can see is that it's been forming, and we can actually extend it back here. It's been forming from around May to around September, and we currently see the handle play out, in which we're seeing a downwards channel. That's what we're seeing right now. We can draw that out on the other handle as well. We can see a larger term downwards channel. And what has happened on Digibyte, and the reason why I'm so bullish on Digibyte is, and we'll bring up some indicators quickly to see if any of them match this region right here. Yes, okay, this is interesting. So what we're seeing on Digibyte is we're seeing a drop into this channel as expected. We tested we made this first top of the channel here at the start of our critical resistance zone, dropped down, held support at this 5.2 cent region for a while, dropped down below that. We actually bounced off the bottom of this channel and the major support box, simultaneously, which gives us even more support And usually after that, something like that happens, we usually break to the upside, to the our upside of a channel. And if we measure the move of what's going to happen if we break to the upside, and we have a few more things to talk about after this as well, what we can see is we can measure it from the right-hand side bottom to the first test of the top of the channel. We can bring that measurement, we'll make it dashed line so it's easy to see, and we can take it to the breakout point. We are on log, so excuse the weird line morphing. If we break out, say, within the next 2 weeks, we'll label it here. What we will actually be seeing on Digibyte is coming up and retesting and potentially even flipping the top of our resistance box. That is the measured move, right? Based off the cup and handle formation, we will be moving up to this resistance box, in early December, late November, depending on the breakout point. Makes perfect sense to me, right? Digibyte has historically lagged in the bull market for most of Q4. If we bring up the weekly chart, what we can see what happened in 2017 before we get into anything else on the weekly chart. We can see in 2017, we came up around May and June, we started capitulating, and we just bounced around brainlessly until late December. In January, we absolutely skyrocketed on Digibyte and made new all-time highs quite clearly there. We 10x'd in that region. That's probably what we're going to be seeing again, right? So keep in mind, this is cryptocurrency. Everything repeats itself, right? The whole point of cryptocurrency is cyclical theory. That's the reason why the big institutions get involved. It's very predictable. It has a clear cyclical theory, right? Q4 is very, 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 very bullish for Bitcoin. Q1, the very start of Q1 and the very end of Q4 are very, very bullish for altcoins. Then we capitulate for 3 years, right? That's what's typically happened with Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in the past. There's no reason why that won't happen again. And when you bring it down to specific coins, there's no reason why that won't happen with Digibyte. So yes, in Q4, we will be moving up on Digibyte, but it won't be exponential, right? It will be, if we measure this move from now to our target here in early December, it will be about a 90% gain, which is very good, right? For just under 2 months of price action. But in terms of the rest of the market and how we would expect it to move, it's not necessarily what we want to be seeing. However, as I said, that's completely normal. Late December, early January, possibly into mid to late January, will be when Digibyte makes the majority of its gains, just like most altcoins, right? Just like most altcoins. Most altcoins aren't going to start, 2xing every single day until late December, early to mid-January. That's when it's going to start to happen based off cyclical theory. So what we can expect on Digibyte, we can expect this bottom here that we made to be the last retest of this channel. I don't see us retesting a channel again. Right now, the reason why we are lagging in this current region between 5.2 cents is because, well, we have that 5.2 cent resistance. We also have resistance from the Gaussian channel. We also have resistance from a couple of our MAs, namely the red MA here, which is the 100 SMA, which is pushing us back down. We can see though, and this is another reason why I'm bullish on Digibyte in the short term, we've actually flipped both the 26 and the 12 SMAs, which is the pink and yellow lines, and they're coming in for a bullish cross. When the pink line crosses the yellow line, we usually see price appreciation afterwards, and that's what I'm going to be seeing. That's what I'm going to be thinking we're going to be leading to a breakout here on Digibyte. One of the reasons why Digibyte is very bullish as well is because if we do see a breakout, we have this downwards trend on the RSI. We're pretty clearly seeing that coincides with this descending channel. If we break out of the channel, we will be breaking this RSI downwards trend, and every time we see a long-term RSI downwards trend break, we usually move up 20 to 30% in 24 hours, right? So in one day, we move up very exponentially. So it is a pretty good time, in my opinion, my personal opinion, to pick up Digibyte, get ready to hold either for a swing trade within the next couple of weeks, or if you want to long-term hold it, or medium-term hold it until the end of a cycle, early to mid-January. That's your call as well. If we get into the weekly chart, we can start to see some of the larger-term trends on Digibyte. As I just pointed out, we usually have a parabolic phase on Digibyte. In terms of 2-peak cycle, we usually see 2-peak cycles. We saw this first peak here in May 2017 play out. We dropped down in May. What did we do this year, right? We came up and we dropped down in May exponentially. We bounced around for most of Q4. What we're doing right now, we're bouncing around probably for most of Q4, right? We might move up a little bit to a spot around here, right? Which we've just labeled on the chart here, possibly a little bit higher. Where was that spot actually? Let me just find this. So we'll probably move up to around 9.8 cents. On the weekly chart, that will look something like this by early December. So we can bring that, it'll probably look something like that, right? So basically just bouncing around on a longer term. So essentially that's what we saw in 2017, right? Capitulation in May, bounced around until early to late December, and then we moved up quite sharply. right? If we take a fractal from that region, we can see that it's probably going to play out again, right? Because as I said, these things move very predictably in terms of what's happened in the past. So if we take a fractal for this entire construction and try our best to apply it to the current construction, what we can see is that we'll probably be seeing something quite similar. Let's actually bring that down. That's not actually in line with the chart here too perfectly. I think might have, yep, there we go. So something like this, right? Something like this, where we can see that we had this kind of this move upwards earlier in the year. We've dropped down. We're going to be bouncing around for a little while. I don't know if this downwards trend is going to continue through this region. As I said, I'm pretty bullish in the next couple of months for Digibyte. I think we're going to break this a little bit and go a little bit to the upside and then bounce around before a spike, right? But the point is, fractals don't need to be perfect. The general message is the same, right? Capitulation in May, bounce around for a little bit until late December, boom up to the sky, right? Capitulation in May, bounce around for a little bit until late December, boom up to the sky, right? If we move up to 9.8 cents, that's not necessarily making new all-time highs on Digibyte. It still counts as bouncing around, in my opinion. So where would this bring us? Well, what we can see, and we can go back, and I got this fractal perfectly before. I've actually just ripped it off the chart. But yeah, here we go. So this is how I made the fractal before. It looks much cleaner than what it looks like now. This fractal will be bringing us by late December, right, which kind of lines up with the cyclical theory. The cyclical theory suggests altcoins will top in around early to mid-January, possibly late January, depending on what you think about lengthening cycles. You know, it might even be into early February, but in that region, right, so around 36 cents, that's where this fractal suggests Digibyte will be going in that time frame, which makes perfect sense, right? And we can take in another metric, and we can speak about, for example, the MACD, right? We saw a bearish MACD cross here in May or June 2017. We bounced around this region where the MACD just trended downwards for the most part. And we're yet to see a bullish cross, right? And when we see a bullish cross, it will possibly be in late November, early December, in which we will boom up to the sky, and that will lead to the price appreciation to happen quite quickly. So MACD matches as well, right? There's a lot of things that are matching on this chart. For Digibyte, this is how it's moved historically. This is how it will likely, it's not certain, but this is how it will likely continue to move in the future. What we can actually do to support this fractal is we can take a metric we use for most altcoins in this bull market. We can say that Digibyte reaches all-time high of around 18 cents. At the same time, Bitcoin reaches all-time high of 64K. If we take my measured move for Bitcoin, I think Bitcoin's going to be going to around 113K by the end of the cycle. So that's just under a 100% gain from 64K. Digibyte will typically outperform Bitcoin by around 50%, as most altcoins do if it performs with the market. Therefore, Digibyte will be going up in appreciation. I think at around 135% if I'm just doing the maths off the top of my head, and that would bring Digibyte to a price prediction between 36 and 42 cents by the end of this cycle, right? That's where I'm looking for Digibyte to go in January, most likely, right? In January, possibly early February. The cycles do tend to extend by a couple of weeks at the most. So 36 to 42 cents by the end of the cycle on Digibyte. So that's my price prediction. We can look at the Bitcoin pair as well, just to finish off the video. We've got a few things to say about the Bitcoin pair. The first thing to say is we're not going to be reaching the all-time highs in the Bitcoin pair, right? For us to reach all-time highs on the Bitcoin pair on Digibyte, we'll be going up around 27x. Not going to happen, right? It's not going to happen. There's simply more altcoins in the market, more money spread into more places. I've said this multiple times in multiple videos. But what we are actually seeing on Digibyte, and what we will probably continue to see, is continued depreciation on the Bitcoin pair until we reach that December region when Digibyte starts to outperform Bitcoin, right? Until that region, I'm not sure if Digibyte's going to be outperforming Bitcoin. When we do start to outperform Bitcoin, we'll see a spike up, possibly stopping at either 600 sats, 822 sats. Those are my two targets. If we break 822 sats, one thing to note is that we have no resistance at all in this region. So if we do break 822 sats, who knows where we will go, right? We'll go very, very high, very, very quickly, and that would be very, very bullish for Digibyte on the USD pair as well as the Bitcoin pair, right? When there's no resistance, it means the price is going to go very volatile in that region and, likely just break up to the upside. I still don't think it's going to reach all-time highs though, but, it is potential that happens. We break up to the upside here and reach, I don't know, 1,500 sats, who knows? But, I would lean towards the fact that we're probably going to be reaching a max of around 620 to 820 sats on Digibyte by the end of a cycle. Even that seems a little bit optimistic, right? Even that seems a little bit optimistic, right? It could be much lower than that as well. We reached 320 sats in May and June, so, we will go higher than that, but as for how much higher, that's a question for another day. So yeah, that's my price prediction for Digibyte. It's 36 to 42 cents by the end of the cycle. If you measure that move from where we are currently, we can see that that's a gain of at least 600% to 720%. So I think that's pretty good. Right? If you take into account diminishing returns across the market, Digibyte's relatively high in the market cap ranking. It's about a medium cap coin, so it's pretty good, right? It will outperform most of the coins in its class. I think that short term as well, the price action looks pretty good. If you want to make a trading signal on Digibyte. If you want to make a trade on Digibyte, you would be waiting for a breakout of this descending channel before entering. Once it breaks out, it looks like we have a massive amount of resistance in this region, this whole entire region. And then once we break out of this resistance box here, that will basically be a massive buying signal. Once we break around 10 cents on Digibyte, we'll basically just be mooning from that point, in my opinion. So thanks for watching the video, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you learned something about Digibyte today, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.